Welcome to Innervision FM. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about the Beatles. I was just thinking about like a little bit of nostalgia, and I mean we're having so much winning. I said figure like let's have some winning nostalgia. So some of you might have grown up in that age, and I know I was back there. I was kind of young, but it was almost like whenever a Beatles song would come out, man, I used to feel like I was there at the like while the song was being written, and so like the song it was almost like deja vu when I would hear the songs come out on radio. And of course, I didn't have sisters that were old enough to be screaming. I only had one sister, so she wasn't, and she was like 2 years older than me, and so she wasn't really into that part. And when they came to Colorado in '64. My mother said no when I wanted to go see Jimi Hendrix when I was 9 years old.
Yeah.
And at that time, being only 4 years old, it's like I didn't even have a concept of even asking her if I could go, if I was even aware they were even here. That's that. So, so, hey Joe, did you go to the concert when they came in '64 or
No, we
young?
live in Wisconsin.
Ah, Wisconsin.
Yeah,
Ah,
that's where I was raised, Wisconsin, Minnesota. So no, I never got to see them. But I mean, they were a big influence for me and my sister. That we'd learn harmonies and were able to bring out harmonies listening to the Beatles stuff.
wow, okay.
And my mother was a singer. My dad was a radio player, guitar player. He played on the radio, you know.
Shoot, okay.
So
It's, see, my friend was not funny. It's like I remember. I've got to think of musical family in school. In some schools, they have this thing where they want kids to learn how to play an instrument, and so my brother brought home this big cello. I think it was a cello, like, maybe it was a stand-up bass, one or the other. And I was just remembering how big that bag was, and I'm thinking like, how do you carry that big heavy bag around?
I played saxophone in school.
Saxophone?
Yeah,
See
a
now,
little bit.
see
Alto.
that was the instrument back then instead of like the guitar solo.
But they
It,
wouldn't
I
mind.
played trumpet back in middle school, and then I picked up guitar and stuck with that all throughout high school.
Yes,
The
hmm,
Beatles were also a
with saxophone, I wanted to play rock and roll. My my dad made him take back the rented saxophone.
oh man,
He gave
gee,
me a Les Paul Jr. instead.
okay,
you know,
well,
and I came up a little bit after the Beatles' great sensation and stuff. So I got to hear all the conspiracy theories. Was there a fourth Beatle? Was there even a fifth Beatle?
well,
Um,
Billy Preston claimed that he was the fifth Beatle.
yeah,
Yeah. And for
Then
people who don't know Billy Preston, I got a song that has no melody. I'm gonna sing it to my
nothing
friends.
for
Like
not something for nothing.
something for nothing.
yeah,
Yeah.
something for nothing. There you go.
Yeah. And he had the big afro, which I found out that that was a wig.
Yeah,
And and then he used to have a lot. Well, this is a lot of. He used to have fights with his boyfriend all the time, but based on jealousy and stuff like that. And so it's just a lot of stuff that you didn't know in the foreground, but uh, after
Then there's
so,
their first drummer, Pete Best.
oh yeah,
They fired him in Germany and got Ringo.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So they trumped him. That's all. And then and then you know what? I watched TV, but I don't remember. They said like in 1964, I think it was, uh, Ed Sullivan
Yep. I
had
watched
a
him live on there.
yeah, and it was like 73 million people.
that's absolutely unbelievable, man. That's crazy to have that kind of reach, especially back in those days.
But,
Yeah.
but look at their movie they made. Uh, um, again, not help. The Hard Day's Night.
Hard Day's Night,
All right.
yeah.
I mean, that was basically a story about them touring.
Well, and
Yeah.
that carried all the way into the 80s too. I mean, it was still popular uh even as I turned 20, 25. I mean, people were still talking about that movie. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Help
Now,
was a totally different style of movie, but I mean, Hard Day's Night. I've still got both those movies on disc somewhere.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now, okay. Now about this fan obsession, which I think, I mean, it was some crazy stuff going on like in the 50s and early 60s, but I remember like seeing like reels, but it was like these girls were screaming so loud that I said, I wonder if they could even hear themselves. And of course, they couldn't hear themselves. And here they were trying to do a show, and I think when they first came, they were like in suit and ties because they had to look respectable, right?
Right.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. Like they're totally something else, but in order to sell it, they had to make it look like, well, uh, your daughter having a poster of the Beatles up on your wall, that couldn't be too far harmless, you know? So and then they said, like, okay, the parents, pretty much tapped their feet to it. The girls screamed so loud. The guy said they couldn't hear himself um, on stage. Oh, and then the girls camped at hotels outside.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I'm
That
thinking,
I think all that stuff started back with Elvis Presley
oh yeah, oh
yeah.
yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
and being so fanatical about the music the
yeah.
Well, and
person.
I'd even venture to say that has carried over to today with what social media has got going on. You've got you got your YouTube and your Instagram and your TikTok. I guess that's real popular. Hey, 75-day moratorium on that. So for content creators, get creating.
Yeah. And let people don't let's remind you, if you just join us, this is Innervision FM. I sometimes call it Innervision FM Music News, and you can like and share. It helps our algorithm. Please consider donating at $ Innervision J, and that helps us out with our cash flow. Yeah, because this stuff is not free. All right, yeah, and then so you're saying like okay, so if for fans today, we have a lot more options as far as like connecting with the artists.
Well, not only that, but the backstories that are spun by the artists. Pardon me there. Some of the backstories that are spun, you can keep up with your favorite artist in real time, whereas you'd have to wait for things to go through the rumor mill, and half the time, once it got to you, it might have been somewhat conflated. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah. And I'm thinking like it was almost like growing up. They started with these pop catchy hits, and then at the time when they were about to break up, I mean they went all kinds of directions as far as like experimenting more uh, with the Raji, who they was their meditative teacher, and I guess as musicians, if you're a working musician, you're touring, you have all this time between bus rides, and
Hmm.
I can imagine how that can because some parts of America is like just a bunch of like what cornfields. And I think they probably flew a lot of places, but maybe they bust as well, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. Well,
Yeah.
they didn't really tour in the US like that though.
No, I'm thinking like it was just fly in.
Yeah, I mean, major cities they go to and they you don't bus
Yeah, yeah.
big band like that. I mean, their instruments and all their equipment probably get trucked to and from there, but band itself, the members that they fly, I would think, you know.
Hmm.
regular touring band. That's a different story. But they weren't a regular touring band. It's like the Rolling Stones. They weren't a regular touring band. They hit a
Yeah.
lot more cities, smaller cities than the Beatles ever did.
Oh yeah.
It's actually pretty interesting because the touring bands of today, or even 20 years ago, much different than what we had in the 60s and the 70s. Um, and then some of the bands like the Grateful Dead, which had their own cult following that sprung up and followed them right up until Jerry Garcia's death. It is interesting because Hey Joe makes a really good point of the distinction between the two types of bands, where one band could contract to have roadies and the equipment there at a given gig, and they would just fly in. They would tour. They would do 2 nights in a given area, then they would go on, and they would run these tours for sometimes a year and a half, 2 years at a time.
Hmm.
The interesting thing is a lot of families got broken up because of these things too, because
Oh yeah.
people didn't know how to handle their fame. People didn't know how to handle their family when it came to success and being on the road and being away from their family. There was a song that was written by a '70s iconic rock band, I think, called Kiss. The song was called Beth, and I'm not sure if they wrote it or if it
Wait a minute.
was.
I got the story behind it. If you watch the song Spinning Gold,
Yeah.
okay, the manager was he had his wife and he had this other girl that was the manager of Kiss. And so his wife would say, he would say, Beth, I hear you calling, but I can't come home right now. Me and the boys are playing, and we might, And so he was telling his wife all that stuff because he was hanging out with the band, hanging out with her. And so, and they were observing this, right? And so that's when he decided, I think it was Paul, decided to write the song, sort of like jabbing him. And at first he wouldn't let the song come out because he said, because he knew it was like a jab. But then after a while, he got over it. And then, because then they really hit, because it took him a while to hit because everybody said, who are these guys with their face all painted with the pyrotactics? And so at first they weren't taking the band serious, critics and stuff like that. If you get a chance, watch the movie Spinning Gold. I might even watch that again because that was a good movie.
What's the most famous song about having to leave?
Having to leave?
Having to leave when you're in a band. What's the most famous song?
Is it the
Leaving
one?
on a jet plane. How about that one?
No.
No.
What about Journey?
Freebird.
Oh,
Freebird?
Oh, yeah.
Freebird.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay.
What song is that you want to hear?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Okay, Freebird. Okay. Because I'm thinking like, let's see, the wheel in the sky gets what was that? Oh yeah. I don't know where I'll be tomorrow. But yeah, but that wasn't as big as a hit as I don't hear people saying, play Wheel in the Sky. I hear them always saying Freebird. So yes. So definitely that classic rock. That
Yeah, Journeys was a good one too. It's
But none of this would be possible without the Beatles, without
yeah.
the phenomena that was created by who the Beatles were,
Mm.
and also a lot of the other English, British bands and that kind of thing. That
Mm.
the Partridge Family, man, you had all kinds of crazy stuff that
Mm.
gelled and took place right at the right time. You had the beatnik movement. You
Mm.
had Jane Fonda. She made a movie called Barbarella.
oh, I was gonna say the
Yeah,
War of Babylon.
Or a Babylon. Just about. Just about. That
yeah.
was a
I
brutal
don't
movie.
remember that one.
A horror movie.
Yeah.
Oh wow, is that Jane Fonda?
Yeah.
No.
Anyway, she was
Quite
the one who
interesting.
did the one about these boots are made for
What? No,
walking.
no,
Yeah.
that was
That was Nancy
Oh, that was
Sinatra.
Nancy
Sinatra.
Sinatra. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I'm getting these girls mixed up. But eventually, I guess the Beatles decided they were getting more out of it by going in the studio and recording because on the stage, the people weren't really, well, they felt that people weren't really appreciating it because if you can't shut up and listen to the song, it's like, what use is it? So,
Yeah,
and I
because
guess,
they were big in doing video video presentations. After their movies, they just
hmm,
started doing videos like MTV videos and stuff. Hullabaloo, they didn't ever do live Hullabaloo. It was always video.
Yep. Yeah.
wow, okay. So,
And after their movies, they kind of got away from the live the live entertainment stuff.
Well,
yes.
and that could be too that they were trying to fit in with the video crowd because video is huge in the early 80s.
Yeah. And George Martin, the producer, probably had something to do with that too, because
More than likely, yeah. I
yeah.
mean, that guy was on top of the music.
Yeah, he was
Uh,
definitely on top of that.
so
If you guys like this type of content, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, toss a donation into Innervision FM coffers. It goes to help out disabled musicians, whether you're physically disabled, financially challenged, or both. We want to help you out to get your music out there. And we do things like this. Innervision Music News. Innervision Music News.
oh yeah, definitely. So and we can't forget that Beatlemania was not only about the fans, but it was I don't know, but it was the teenagers writing letters. I was wondering there was I bet there was a fan club like the Beatles fan club, and as I heard, okay, like this artist named Selena, fans would send letters, and then they would also probably send money, and I wonder if some of that money got taken out.
Well, you know that back in the day, people would actually send cash in envelopes, uh, not even bundle it, not even do anything with it, just toss it in an envelope and hope it got to where it was supposed to get to. And sometimes it made it.
Yeah. So I know that gave him the larger than life kind of like persona. I don't
You know,
know.
there's so much conspiracy on the Beatles stuff. A lot of people think that the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, some of the major bands were all constructed with MI6 and CIA.
Yep.
Hmm.
Certain messages.
They were propaganda machines, just like the news,
Okay.
TV. And
Absolutely.
And then when they said Paul died in the car crash, they brought in Billy Shears, who looked just like Paul.
Right.
And if you look at the documentary on that, I mean, there's so many different subtle differences in the way Paul used to look and the way he looks now, the facial features, the ears, and that stuff. It's like what's real, what isn't.
Hmm.
Nowadays, everything can be recreated with AI. So, we live in a good, interesting time.
But I mean, this was back in the 60s, so
Right. Right. There wasn't any of that.
Hey, do you think that today, who do you think that today has the same kind of passionate following? Now, one comes to mind is the Taylor Swift, but I'm kind of think like in different genres of music, um, who would be, I don't think, well,
Eric Clapton has a following like that.
he does?
Yeah, he's still got a following. He still
got-
draws sold out shows wherever he goes.
And he's such a talented and varied musician. He plays with anybody and everybody.
Yeah, he can play any style of music. He can play, I think, 3 or 4 different instruments easy.
Hmm.
He's a guitar virtuoso. I mean, he's a master.
Now, what about Jeff Beck? Because I heard that Jeff Beck was on a lot of songs that you wouldn't normally No, he was on some Stevie Wonder songs.
He's another one. He's another one. He's less known, meaning that
He
he
started
just
with
does
the
his.
Yardbirds just like Eric Clapton and who's the guy on Queen? Not Queen, on Led Zeppelin, Richie Blackmore. No, that's not Richie Blackmore. Who's the Led Zeppelin guitarist?
Page.
Jimmy Page, yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I
They
mean,
all started in the Yardbirds, you know. And
yeah.
Jeff Beck
Interesting stuff.
was a unique guitarist, but I mean, he's no longer with us, so
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we want you guys out in the audience to share something that you might have experienced during the Beatlemania, because I know, like, I was looking at our analytics and it said, like, we have a lot of people that are between 45 and 65, and then we have some people that are 75 and then and above. So we have people out there that you might even been at either the tail end of the music, of the live performances, or at the very beginning, because you knew it was going to be something good. Yeah, so share some of your stories, or share, like, something that you would think that would be equivalent to being a fan of a big group like the Beatles. Because, I mean, I used to go to, like, many concerts. I mean, I went to so many concerts, I lost track. One thing I never, I avoided, if you would have like 5 or 6 rock bands, and then when they got to the drum solo, it became like every drum solo sounded the same. So I try to limit it down to like maybe 3 bands, but not 5 or 6 bands. And like McNichols, back when McNichols was around.
last time I went to McNichols was with seeing Ace Frehley, Iron Maiden, and there was one other band. That was a long time ago.
Let's see, Humble
Saw
Pie.
Metallica just before they tore McNichols Arena down.
Oh yeah,
When
Yeah.
that was back
AC/DC
in the
went
day.
there, they didn't have enough power for their AC/DC's equipment. They had to bring
Yep.
their own power equipment in.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what they had to do, is cart in a couple of big generators and stick them up on stage
Yeah.
for Metallica.
Hmm.
What a concert. What a concert. Don't forget to toss down a comment down below, like, share, subscribe, and
Yeah.
like Johnny was saying, we want to hear your Beatles stories.
Yeah. And I want to, guys, also, do you think Beatles would be more bigger or less big if they had TikTok and Facebook and
That'd be insane to see them on Facebook and TikTok and YouTube.
oh, we have
See
we have
Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr on there and stuff, but
yeah they
I
are
mean, Paul McCartney still has a huge following.
Yep.
I understand. And he was chiming in on something recently, and I've heard so much stuff today. I don't remember, because Paul McCartney, he was talking about something that has something to do with music or something, and I don't remember what it was. I should have jogged it down, man. It's like my brain, too much information. But hey, we have a trivia question, like um which Beatle was known as the quiet one? And the first one, that the answer that will give you like a shout out tomorrow. And if you uh, what are those things, like, if you donate, because there's ways you can donate via super chat. The first person to do a super chat, to name the person, will definitely give you a shout out tomorrow. And if you are number 20 super chat, we just might give you like a free coffee mug or a t-shirt, depends on how many funds comes in. So a little trivia.
Change it up a little bit. So yet again, what was the question?
Who
Yeah.
was considered
Like
the
a quiet
quiet
Beatle.
one, the quiet Beatle?
All right.
Oh,
All
oh,
right.
oh, 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 I know, I know.
I know too, so tune in tomorrow.
Yeah, we all know because we we definitely know. So anyway, that is going to do it for the show. Uh, like I said, all this week is it's been like 6 days of just winning on the Trump team, and it's just been exciting. So sometimes we like to mix it up a little bit. Tomorrow night we're going to talk about some of the famous blind uh, musical artists and some stuff about that. And then I was talking to Alan C about this earlier. Wendy Williams, and I've been following some of the stuff, and some scary stuff has been happening with her. So we're going to be covering that on Wednesday. So get your questions ready because, man, you know, I mean, I can imagine. If you were like 60, you had your risk about you, but somehow somebody got the power of attorney and can control you and your money.
Wow.
Man, that to me, that is scary.
You can get
It is
married.
indeed scary.
Get, yeah. Oh yeah, like Britney Spears. I mean, her dad, he had her tie a knot up until she was like 42. So, but well, I don't know. That doesn't sound as scary as as a like a cousin or a niece having power of attorney over you.
We got a couple of good shows on deck, so stay tuned for tomorrow and for Wednesday. You're
All
gonna
right.
love these two shows.
Anyway, once again, shout out to happy birthday to Hey Joe at the beginning of this month, and then Alan C. Just last week.
Yep.
So anyway,